I was walking past the colony. I'd already done their morning chores. I was just walking by and I looked in and I saw a little baby newborn rabbit. So I have the baby in my hand. I found it right over here and I'm not sure who gave birth to it or if there's going to be more or what I should do with this one. The youngest litter we have is like 2 weeks old and they're already running around. So I could put them with them, but then I risk them moving somewhere else and then this one being cold. This one's still alive, but it's not warm. So that's good. We do have someone who was making a nest a few weeks ago and then stopped. There's a nest box full of bedding in here, but it's a cold, rainy day outside, and I'm not sure how well a singleton will survive on its own, and we have to go to church in a few hours, and then there's a whole bunch of meetings afterwards that we have to go to, so I'm not going to be here all day to make sure it's alright. I could bring it inside for the time being, but the inside temperature is like outside, so what would be the point? Maybe if whoever gave birth has more babies, then that's great and I can put them with them, but for now I don't have anyone to give it to and I don't even know who gave birth. So I've put it in here under all this good bedding. I don't know, I'm afraid it's gonna get cold and die though, but we're just gonna be gone a lot today, so if I leave it inside on a heating mat I risk it overheating and dying that way. So I'll leave it in here for now, maybe check on it a little later before we gotta leave and see if it's okay, how it's doing. Hopefully this goes okay and hopefully Mama has more babies and she nurses them just fine so we can put this one back with the siblings when they're born. I checked on the kit later and in the nest box it was still really cold. It was really cold and getting colder, and so I decided to put it on the heat mat anyway. I turned it on the lowest setting, hoping that it wouldn't be too hot for the baby, and put it in a little Tupperware with some bedding. But when we came back from church, it was very, very hot, and there was like spit coming out of his mouth, like little bubbles of spit, which is kind of weird, and it was moving, and then all of a sudden it stopped moving. So I think we came in just in time for it to die of being too hot. So yeah, that's a real bummer. But I guess when you have the choice of dying from heat versus dying from cold, there's not really any good options. And so sadly, we weren't able to be here to make sure it's okay. But I did all I could do, and we'll just have to hope that any other babies born will go better. So the baby just died. I'm gonna check if there are any babies born. And this is not what it looked like a few hours ago. There's black fur. It's not acrobat. It must be Ivy. There's a baby! And it's still alive! Oh, it's tiny! Okay, one baby. Let's see. Any more babies besides the one? Two. Here's the second one. Oh, here's some more. 3 babies. And there's still a little bit of blood over here. Looks like she didn't clean up all the way, which is fine. Oh my goodness, Acrobat, get out of here. Here's more fur. I'm gonna get all the fur in one place and then kind of rearrange the nest better. Ivy, did you have babies in here? Are these yours? Is that your baby who you gave birth to and then died? Yes, I'm messing with them. I'm sorry. There's 3 and they're all alive. At least I think so. And I don't want to miss any. Okay, yeah, so I think 3 is all we have, which is fine. Ivy is notorious for her small litters, but she's an excellent mom. It's kind of a weird noise back here though. Oh. Alright, looks like I see some gross blood stuff, like bits of placenta and all that back here. Boy, I think she added more straw in here because there's like stuff in here and dirty bedding and then there's fresh stuff on top, so I think that's what happened. gave birth and then added more on top because it doesn't make sense how there would be all that stuff down there otherwise. Okay. It's not very much fur, is it? Well, I guess it is summertime, so we're not going to pull as much. So 1, 2, and 3, and yep, even here's some little, looks like tiny little steel bits, just like her. So there's not a whole bunch of fur, and there's only 3 of you. So I might just take all this and layer it on top, just for now, to make sure you're okay. So I'm not entirely sure if it was their sibling who just died and was born earlier today. It's possible it is. Or it could have been a different doe's baby. All of our does now, except for Acrobat and now Ivy, I guess, have the possibility of giving birth anytime. Thankfully though, Acrobat already had babies, so I didn't have to wonder whose babies these were. So I think it probably was Ivy's baby who was born over here earlier. And that's the same. Well, I guess if I needed to, I could steal some fur from in here. But I really don't want to, because then it might throw her off. Especially because she hasn't done that great with foster kits. It's possible that new smells or different rabbit smells in her area bug her more than regular rabbits. I'm going to come check on the babies again though soon, make sure they're staying nice and warm. If they're not, I can always use this bedding, or I have some Angora fiber I can use to keep them nice and warm. And thankfully now there are 3 of them, so their body heat can keep each other warm much better than a singleton could. So I'll come check back on these babies later, make sure they're doing okay, but for now I'm going to head inside and record this litter. You did such a good job, Mommy, and I'm surprised she didn't give birth in the burrow. Yeah, I'm surprised. Maybe she knows it's kind of rainy. It was kind of wet this morning in there since it rained. Yeah, good girl. Came out to check them a little bit later, and I walked in the colony and I saw another baby just born. It was still alive and still pretty warm, though when I put it in with the rest of its siblings, they were so warm and nice and toasty. It's amazing how quickly those babies warm up together when they have siblings to cuddle up with. And Ivy was kind of cleaning off her bottom a little bit, and I saw a few blood specks on some straw. So that leads me to believe that Ivy is the one giving birth to all these babies around the colony. Not entirely sure why she's having problems giving birth to them all in the nest box. It's possible that she's being thrown off because they're more farther apart than they usually are. Usually they just come pretty much all at once, but these seem to be more throughout the day. Us introducing Acrobat and Iantha into the colony super recently, and the stress of that could also have something to do with why this is not going as usual as it does. But now we have 4 babies in the nest box, so we'll see if she has any more or what else happens. Okay, last check before it's time to go to the meeting. You don't see any more babies. But there's a little bit of blood right there and a little bit of gross stuff. Mommy, let me look around real quick. Okay, let's check the new babies. Let's see if that newest one is warmed up too. Oh, so warm, so warm. You're so nice and warm, but not too warm either. Alright, if you have any more babies, Mommy, make sure you have them in the nest box, please, okay? We'll check on you again in a few hours. Bye. Okay, it's the next morning. Let's check on the babies. Hopefully they're all alright. Sorry about the baby goats. Oh, you're alive. Oh, and it's so warm. You guys don't look super fed though. So they didn't look super fed at all, but that's okay. Sometimes it takes 24 to 48 hours for mama's milk to come in. So we'll just keep checking on them, making sure eventually they get fed. But hopefully next time I check on them, they'll be just fine. It's very possible her milk just hasn't come in yet, and everything will be just great, but we'll just have to see. It turns out everything wasn't just great. Ivy continued not to nurse her kids, and I guess because they didn't have enough nutrition, their body heat wasn't sufficient enough to keep them toasty warm. They were still alive, but not fed and barely warmer than the air outside. So I finally broke down and forced Ivy to nurse them. Acrobat had stopped feeding her babies as well, so I think the stress of adding new rabbits affected both mamas. And since that was my fault, I decided to intervene. After a long while of forced nursing, Ivy's kids did get a bit of milk, but not very much, and they stayed very cool. At the next feeding time, Ivy decided to nurse them again all on her own, but they didn't get very full this time either. It could have been Mama's milk was down from the only forage diet she's on, or the stress of the new calling rabbits, or the heat. I'm not totally sure what caused her to not have enough milk, but eventually the kits got too cold and passed away. And Acrobat's kits weren't getting fed enough either and all died too. So now we have no kits, only several does who could kindle any day. Hopefully our next litter goes much better than our last two did.